Hi, good morning. Sometimes emergencies happen, and this morning I've been late in getting my talk online. There are times when you have to prioritize other things, and that this is one of those days. You know, there's a common statement in Christian circles when it comes to deciding whether or not to follow God's calling to take a big step of faith. And that common statement is, I prayed about it, and God has given me peace. What that typically means is that a person has spent serious time asking God for confirmation, studying God's word, and seeking counsel from other godly people. When a decision is made in God's will, then God shows up by providing a supernatural peace in the midst of an otherwise difficult situation or decision. I've experienced this many times. This is real peace we're talking about. Yet, how many times do we rely on a temporary feeling of false peace as an excuse to justify escaping a difficult situation? For some people, it means ending a marriage rather than working on our own weaknesses, for example. Or it could mean running away from a commitment just because it's challenging. Or ignoring a friend in need because it's uncomfortable. Or choosing to cave to societal pressures and blend in rather than live differently and face ridicule. And I could go on and on. Now, in the moment, we might think that, that feeling of peace is from God. But if the decision or action you're making is contrary to God's character, contrary to God's word, then of course it's not from God. No matter this expression of I have peace about it. It's a temporary false feeling of relief and escape rather than true peace. And eventually the consequences of those actions will burn us. Jonah experienced this temporary peace after running from God's calling because he didn't want to share the gospel with the Ninevites. It was pure relief for him. He ended up in a boat, escaping the situation. After all, they were an evil people and a very real enemy to the nation of Israel. And the last thing Jonah wanted was to face potential persecution and death simply by showing up. Yet, even worse in Jonah's eyes would be God choosing mercy over judgment if the people turn away from their evil ways, because he would lose face. The prophet would lose face if that happened according to him. And so he tried to sail away in literally the opposite direction. And it was there on that boat during a terrible storm, as Jonah slept peacefully, that he awoke to realize the impact that his decision to run from God had on the lives of every person on board that boat. All of their lives were in danger. You see, when we think that running away from God's will not affect anybody else, we are only deceiving ourselves. This is just a thought, and I'm Birger Draget, pastor of Three Angels at Newton Seventh Adventist Churches in South Central Kansas. Thankfully, Jonah recognized his sin after 3 days in the belly of a fish, and God rerouted him back to Nineveh. Now, have you, like Jonah, been hiding behind a false peace excuse to quickly escape a difficult or challenging situation? If so, then you're not alone. That's really much part of the human condition, to be drawn towards that. I want to challenge you and myself to make today the day that you choose to call out the fake peace for what it really is and seek God's true peace, no matter where that leads you. After all, if God calls you to do it, then he will see you through to the end. That's a promise. Have a blessed day.